Welcome back to the Dark Reading News Desk here at Black Hat 2023. It's Terry Sweeney with the Dark Reading, and joining me now is Abby Strong, Senior Vice President of Customer Experience and Marketing for Cribl. She's joined by Chris Cesio, Chief Revenue Officer with Exabeam. Chris and Abby, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Appreciate you doing this. Your two companies recently unveiled a partnership. Can you tell us about the details of that and even what drove the agreement?
I've been building these partnerships for 20 some odd years in cybersecurity, and the ones that are successful, the ones that actually work, start in the field. They start with our field teams, working with customers, solving real problems. When we started working together a couple years ago, the problems that we were hearing being solved by our customers were making it really easy for our customers to ingest large volumes of data and solving really tough security use cases. We're seeing a very short time to value. We're seeing customers getting a lot of ease and speed and time to value by the joint solution. And I think the third area is, selfishly for Exabeam, we're seeing customers adopt the solution and get a cloud native SIEM in place where they were really thinking it was a really tough proposition before. So all three of those different areas really helped us kind of launch into a partnership, and we took a pretty good look, said, hey, we've got something here, let's build on it, let's start building the relationship together. We did that, and that's what we announced yesterday.
Right. Abby, what's your perspective on this?
Yeah, so we're really focused on partnering with all the great disruptive technologies out in the market, and it was great to see folks wanting to try Exabeam, but they were consistently presented with the same problem, which is how do I get data in so that I can start seeing value from this amazing technology? And so we help customers solve that faster than any other solution.
Right. There's obviously been similar efforts around this kind of cross-pollination, these complementary pieces coming together to work so well. Talk about what's different with this particular pairing.
So I think, I touched on it a little bit, but ultimately what we see is that data is growing every year at least a 25% CAGR. And we're pretty convinced, and we're talking to most of the IT professionals and security professionals that we work with, that their budgets are not growing at that rate. And so how do you get the right data into the right tools so you can get the right information and have a more secure posture for your company without too many, somersaults and things in your network?
All right.
Yeah, and just to add to that comment, what we see from customers all around the world, doesn't matter what vertical industry that they're in, they're all struggling with the same things. There's a flat or lower budget year over year. There's not enough people, security professionals, to do the hard work, and there's not enough time. Their teams are stretched really thin. So all of these optimization things really drive the need for more automation and adopting new tools that can do things better than the legacy tools did. Exabeam, for example, we have kind of two ways that customers adopt our solution. One is to replace their legacy SIEM with a modern security stack with modern tool sets. The other ones are just to augment what they already are doing. So as Abby just said, the data volumes are increasing. If they're comfortable with our logging platform, they still need the brain on top of that logging platform to do really tough use cases and solve some pretty aggressive security use cases.
Abby, you mentioned the security information event management or SIEM technology just a few minutes ago. Of the many constants, as that market has matured and really developed into a solid market, something that's remained true about it is that SIEM remains a heavy lift from a installation and management and ongoing operations perspective. What are you seeing in the SIEM market, and to what degree does this partnership address some of the difficulties that have stood by SIEM all these years?
I mean, yeah, you put it more nicely than I like to say. SIEM is hard, right? Like, it always has been hard. And one of the biggest challenges for users is, how do I get the right data into it so that I can make great decisions and be assured that I have great security posture? And so what Cribl does at its heart is we are a telemetry router. We will grab logs, metrics, traces off of all of the sources that customers may have and send them to the right tool to do the right job. And one of those places is Exabeam. But we also hear our customers saying, what happens if I make a bad choice? Or what happens if I don't put the right data? Or, I may want to go back and need other data. And we're going, the easiest solution is to have a data lake. Keep your full raw logs all out in an open format so you can use them, put them wherever you need. But you also have a backup plan if something does happen or you didn't have the right data when you needed it in your tooling.
And as our SIEM vendor, SIEM is hard.
Yeah.
It's a technology that's been around for multiple decades. It was started before the iPhone was invented. So to kind of put in perspective, the security landscape has changed dramatically in the last 5-10 years. The threats that organizations are trying to solve for, insider threat, compromised credentials, lateral movement of users inside their environment, you can't do that with a 20-year-old technology stack. It's really manual, it's really hard, as you said, to do. What we've played is a role of a disruptor. We've come in with a very new workflow, a threat detection, investigation and response workflow, which really tries to streamline that process and use automation and use some more of the modern tool sets to get these hard problems solved. So yes, SIEM is hard. It's hard because it's manual and it's quite frankly, it's legacy and it's time to replace it and upgrade it. And that's what we're helping to.
Well, SIEM may predate the iPhone, but SIEMs are still a lot harder to carry around in your pocket. I just need to underline that.
There's no doubt.
Yeah, thank you for laughing. Talk about a real-world example or an existing use case that really showcases this hybrid of technology that Cribl and Exabeam have created.
Yeah, so we have a lot of shared customers, but ultimately what they're really focused on is how do I get data in? You know, I have this constantly growing data estate, and not only is it coming from many places, but you have it in many places. And so when we enter, you know, and start talking to customers, it's how do I get the right data, the right amount of that data? You know, there's a lot of voluminous sources out there. You know, we are partnered with many ones where they sit there and they go, engineers are incentivized to make sure that you don't come back to them and go, you didn't send me the right log or the right information for me to be secure. Well, that means you sometimes get a lot more than you actually need in order to really have a great security posture. And so what we do and what our customers are really using us for is, I need to get more data in, and then I need to make sure the right data goes to the right place, and that I can keep that backup copy if I need it, you know, for any future incidents that may come up.
Right.
Yeah, and just even last night here at Black Hat, I had a great customer dinner, and the customer very clearly explained to me that there was a 75% improvement in their workflow, in their threat detection workflow, just by leveraging more automation, more valuable tools, and getting that value quicker. The time to value was much shorter. That's the area that we've really focused on. And certainly this partnership has really helped accelerate that for a lot of our customers. But that's truly what Exabeam's mission is if we can get a win on accelerating the workflows and accelerating the tough use cases that security professionals are trying to solve, we can do that faster and more efficiently with the limited budgets and people, it's a good win for everybody.
What are some of the questions that potential customers should be asking themselves if they're thinking whether this hybrid combo is right for them or not?
I'll start with maybe the Exabeam side, and I think both of their companies working together have really good optimization strategies, no matter which way you start, whether you start with Cribl or Exabeam. Where we typically get involved with customers is they're looking at tough business problems. They're looking at, like I mentioned, insider threat. To try to do that with their current stack is really, really hard. And it's, the customer I was having dinner with last night says his whole team, he had a whole team focused on manually going through their SIEM and trying to extract the value. There's no reason with the modern tool sets we have today that you can't use automation. Big data, machine learning, analytics, data science, all of that stuff has been in our platform for 8 years. And especially with AI coming strong into the market, it's something that we've really helped repackage that and make things more efficient for the Security Operations Center. But
yeah. And Cribl is really focused on being the data company for IT and security. And we're adamant about that audience and really making sure that we're building tooling that provides value to that particular audience, because the data that we are ingesting is so much more voluminous than what you see from business data. And you have to be able to ask and answer questions that you may not have anticipated beforehand. And so when customers start, what questions should they ask? Do I have the ability to get all of the data that I want to have access to? Do I have an easy way to try new and disruptive solutions? You can insert us as a bump in the wire and just keep your data going wherever it's going and still peel off certain bits or streams of it and send it to whatever solutions that you would like, including Exabeam.
Right. Well, Abby and Chris, continued success with a new partnership. Really appreciate you stopping by and talking to us at the Dark Reading News Desk.
Yeah, thank you, Terry.
thanks for the time, Terry.
We've been talking with Abby Strong of Cribl and Chris Cesio of Exabeam. This has been Terry Sweeney for the Dark Reading News Desk. Thanks for joining us for this segment. We'll be right back.